Hello, everybody. Welcome to MCT 2021. We are going to start off from here. I hope you can see my screen. Just to make sure you see my screen right now. Awesome, awesome. So today, we're gonna having the first speaker is gonna talking about configure automatic deployment for Azure SQL database. But before we go into that, please remember your session evaluation, right? Make sure you register so you can win the Xbox prizes. Please make sure you register and do the evaluation. That's very, very important. Let me pull on my slideshow. Sorry, give me a minute. All right, sorry about that. And my name is Gengar. As you can see, I'm your moderator for today. We're gonna have an amazing speakers today. So the focus will be on the speakers. But for me, as you can see, I'm a tech and data whisperer, and I love tech, I love data, I love building solutions to solve any problems in this world, and I love building communities in technology. So definitely, if you want to connect with me, I'll definitely be willing to communicate with anybody out there. So let's go to today's event, right? First of all, I want to say thank you to Microsoft and the other companies that have been supporting us from the beginning. This has been a wonderful event. I mean, this is the third day, and I think we've been doing great so far. And we have the event for today. As you can see, we have about one, two, three, four, five categories, right? And the first speaker today will be Ayobami Adeleke. So let's proceed and see who is Ayobami Adeleke. Basically, this is his bio. He's a fantastic guy with certification in data analytics, Azure data engineering, and he's very great with data and any Azure data too. So as you can see, he has a background data warehouse in business intelligence and wonderful, wonderful things that has to do with data. So, all right, don't let me waste too much of our time. Um, he has provided us with this video, and would like to go ahead and present uh, Ayobami Adeleke.
Morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone from all over the globe. I welcome you to this special session on the MCT West Africa Cloud Bootcamp that has been going for about 3 days. This is the third day running, and today is going to be the final sessions. Today I'll be walking us through configuring automatic deployments for Azure SQL databases. Specifically, or more generally, how do you automate deployment of Azure resources? So let's just get started. I'd like to do a quick introduction of myself. I'm the speaker for this session. My name is Ayobami Adeleke. I am a BI developer. I'm also a Microsoft certified trainer. I have about 4 years working experience as a data warehouse and business intelligence developer and consultant. I've done a number of end-to-end data warehouse and business intelligence project implementations for different clients in the banking industry, the financial services industry, retail, production, manufacturing, and oil and gas here in Lagos, Nigeria. I also have 2 years active experience as a Microsoft certified trainer, where I've trained extensively on Microsoft data platform, on data analytics and data engineering within the Microsoft space, using Microsoft tools both on-premises and cloud, the Azure environments. In my certifications, I have the Data Analyst Associates. I also have the Microsoft Azure Data Engineer Associates. I'm equally Microsoft BI Developer Certified. I have the MCSA in Business SQL Server 2016 BI Development. And I'm also a Microsoft Certified Trainer. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. My name is Ayobami Adeleke. Okay, so to the agenda of the day. So in this session, I'll just walk us through a quick introduction of what we want to achieve. What is this session all about? We also look at describing the deployment models in Azure. We also look at how do you create an Azure Resource Manager template, the ARM templates that we use to automate deployment of resources on the Azure portal. How do you create these templates? Then finally, we look at how to deploy the templates after they have been created. Okay, so the introduction. So before now, in the traditional environment where organizations run on-premises system, this requires the infrastructure guys and the hardware guys to run cables, network cables, rack of hardware, servers, and all of that in order for them to like fully launch out a new database server within their data centers. But with the advent of cloud computing, this has really become not necessary or irrelevant, so to say. A major benefit of cloud computing is that it allows you to just create your resources behind an API. In this case, we are talking about Microsoft Azure. Deployment and management of Azure resources is being managed by what we call the Azure Resource Manager. This is Azure, whereby you're able to create deployment mechanisms called templates, resource manager templates. They are JSON documents actually that are used to create deployment parameters and templates. So at the end of this session, it is expected that everyone that attends this section is able to deploy an Azure resource template using either the Microsoft PowerShell or the Azure Cloud CLI. Then secondly, also, it's expected that at the end of this session, you're able to understand the structure of its basic Azure Resource Management templates. So moving on, we're talking about describing the deployment models in Azure. Next slide. So Azure Resource Manager templates have the benefit of being able to deploy a full set of resources in one single declarative template. So you have a very robust template, but it's able to deploy a number of resources as much as have been defined in that template, that have been scripted into that template, so to say. So it's more like you are trying to, all the things you need for a particular deployment. Let's say you want to deploy an Azure SQL database now. You need to deploy an Azure SQL server where the database is going to sit. Then you now deploy the database itself into that server. So all of this you can actually build into a template on the Azure Resource Manager template. And it comes like a JSON script whereby you just open that script on the Azure environment or your PowerShell or CLI environment and deploy it. And once you do that, all of the resources that you've declared and created in that JSON script would be deployed into your Azure tenants. So once you have a template, you can deploy it several ways, either using the Azure DevOps pipeline or making use of custom deployment blades in the Azure portal, which is the user-friendly Azure portal where you leverage drag and drop. The benefit of this deployment is that they use a declarative model which defines what should be created. So you need to actually expressively state what should be created. So are you saying, okay, you want to create an Azure SQL Server? Do you want to create an Azure SQL database? Or do you want to create a resource group on those kind of things? So you define those things. Each resource has to be defined. And for every resource that is defined is what it's going to create. So you define the resource, you define the resource groups that will be created, or maybe you want to add that resource into an existing resource group. All of those things have to be clearly defined in the template. So the next thing here, the Azure Resource Manager framework then determines how to deploy it. So you don't have to worry your head with how Azure does the deployment. There's a framework that the ARM environment actually uses to deploy whatever you must have scripted into your JSON templates. So the alternative to the declarative model is the imperative model. Imperative models are usually used for PowerShell and the Azure CLI, which follow a prescriptive order of tasks. So here you need to describe it in sequence. Which one should it deploy first? So for you to deploy a SQL Server DB, a SQL database on Azure SQL DB, you need to first create an Azure SQL Server. Then next, you declare that, okay, a resource called Azure SQL Database with name this, maybe a sample DB or something, so should be created. So if you bring in the database before the server itself, there'll be an error when you are using the imperative frameworks. So talking about Azure Resource Manager templates, these templates allow you to create and deploy an entire infrastructure in a declarative framework. So most of the times, your ARM templates are usually in the declarative frameworks, because that way you allow the ARM environment to handle the deployment process and routine. For example, you can deploy not only a virtual machine, but also the network and storage dependencies all in one document. Resource Manager also supports orchestration, which manages the deployment of interdependent resources, so they are created in the correct order. Okay, so deployment options, you have a number of options. Either you go through PowerShell on your Windows environment, or your Windows desktop, or Windows Server desktop, whichever one you're running. You could also do the Azure CLI, the command line interface, or you go the Azure Portal way, which is the user-friendly Azure Portal we know at portal.azure.com. So I'll just give us some brief talks around these three deployment options. So for the Azure PowerShell itself provides a module that is specifically built for Azure resources or services. That's the easy module in PowerShell. So for instance, when you want to do anything that has to be centers around Azure virtual machines, a virtual machine on Azure, the module you go to will be the az.compute. So this covers basically anything that involves around an Azure virtual machine. PowerShell is more commonly used for resource modification and status retrieval. So ideally, basically, it's used for resource modification, not for creating new resources or deploying new resources, but basically for you to modify an existing resource and check the status of that resource. So you want to know, is this status online? Is it available at the moment? You want to see the storage consumption of a particular resource. You can do all of that using PowerShell, leveraging the easy module in PowerShell. While it is possible to create resources using PowerShell, it could actually be used for creating resources as well, but it's not so robust. So you can't really use PowerShell to create complex deployments. Say you want to build or deploy maybe 500 virtual machines across different tenants with different configurations, or maybe you want to change the operating system across a batch of servers that you want to deploy. When the complexity of your deployment increases, PowerShell might not be the best option to use. Anyways, PowerShell can also be used to deploy ARM templates, so in a sense, it supports both declarative and imperative models. Then the next option here is Azure CLI. So the Azure CLI is the command line interface on the Azure portal. It's just similar to the Windows desktop command prompt environment. At the same time, similar to your PowerShell, and it can be used either for imperative or declarative deployment. Much more like the PowerShell and Azure Resource Manager template, CLI allows or provides a mechanism to deploy and also modify Azure resources. Although some commands for Azure PostgreSQL and the Azure MySQL databases are only available in the Azure CLI. So when you want to do deployments around PostgreSQL and Azure MySQL, it's better you leverage Azure CLI. because some functions or commands that you would need to work on this kind of resources are actually not available on the PowerShell, Windows PowerShell. So the next option here is the Azure Portal. Azure Portal is a graphical interface to Azure Resource Manager. Any resource you build and deploy using the portal, automatically the portal will create a template for that resource that you can actually capture by just exporting the template for that particular resource in the settings blade. So when you are working on the Azure Portal, when you create a resource, you create a resource group. For every action you take at the back end, the portal is already generating the ARM resource template for that particular resource you have created. So you can easily just go to the settings blade and click on export to actually export that template, parameterize it, modify it, tweak it, and create it as a shared template that can be used across your enterprise. Okay, so here we are looking at deploying an Azure Resource Manager template using Windows PowerShell. So with Windows PowerShell, you have several options for the scope of a deployment that you want to do. You can either decide to deploy a resource to a resource group or to a subscription, or maybe to a higher level now to a management group, which is like a collection of subscriptions under the same Azure template. And this is commonly used in large organizations or organizations that are doing large enterprise deployments, or even a tenant. You could also deploy from PowerShell to a tenant. Azure Resource Manager templates are parameterized. Yeah, so in terms of, okay, you want to automate. So the idea of automating the deployment is so that you can have just a parameter that you can easily change, maybe a parameter for server name. So once you update the value for the parameter, it picks the new server name that you want to actually deploy or you want to update or modify. You don't necessarily have to go line by line to change the names of the server or the resource, but by just updating the value of the parameter, you're able to do a modification across that resource everywhere the resource exists within the Azure environment. So you can also pass in parameters either within in line or through the use of a parameter file as shown in the example below. So this is just a simple PowerShell script where we are looking at the function new AZ resource group. The resource group is AZ resource group deployment. So the name of what we are trying to do here is we are trying to deploy example deployment, and the resource group name is example resource group. So those are basic parameters or values, attributes you need to provide. Then the template file itself, the JSON file now, where it's going to save it to is c/, this is the directory, my template, azure deploy.json. And eventually you also have a parameter file just for you to maintain all the list of parameters you have in the JSON templates. So the parameter and template files can be stored in a Git repository, maybe on GitHub, or maybe you do want to use the Microsoft Azure Blob Storage, that's an option, or any other place where it is accessible from the deploying machine. It's all your choice, whichever one works for you. Also, something you can also do is leverage Azure DevOps. Deployments are carried out using Azure pipelines. Azure pipelines are fully integrated, continuous integration and continuous delivery service, CI/CD, which allows you to automate building and testing of your deployments and code. So using the CI/CD Azure DevOps environment, you can also deploy ARM templates that you have created from Azure Portal. Another thing you can also leverage would be continuous integration. So it's a development methodology that focuses on making small changes to your code and frequent code check-ins and version control system, so to say. So these are different processes whereby you can actually deploy an Azure Resource Management template. For the Azure CLI, this is very synonymous and similar to the PowerShell deployment. only that this runs directly on the Azure portal. So when you log on to portal.azure.com, there's a blade where you can click and open up the Azure CLI interface, where you could run the regular CLI queries or using PowerShell or Bash queries, depending on what you want to use. So it allows for the same scope of deployments like you have in PowerShell, either to a resource group, to a subscription, to a tenant. And also, like PowerShell, you can actually use a local or remote parameter file, maybe locally sitting on your server or within your Azure portal, or maybe remotely on a Git environment or a repository somewhere. So this is just another similar sample code that you could leverage. So how do we create an Azure Resource Manager template? Let's see. So an Azure Resource Manager template is a JSON document that describes the resources that will be deployed within an Azure resource group. So resource group is a container that holds all your Azure resources. So the structure of this template usually is as shown below. So you have the JSON document, you have the schema, you have the content version, you have the API profile, you have the parameters, you also have variables, functions, resources, and outputs. So all of these will be filled based on what you're trying to achieve. So let me just take them one by one. So the schema file here references the version of the template language. So as you update it, the schema number will change. You also have what is called the content version number, which is defined by you as you require. And should also align with your internal versioning standard, so to say. The next one here is the API profile. So for API profile, this just serves as a collection of API versions for this environment. So if you have API connections around and are implemented or required, it keeps an history of the versions and the API profile here. So the next one, parameters. Yeah, parameters cannot be overemphasized when you're talking about creating ARM templates. So these parameters are values that are provided to the templates in order to customize the resources at deployment time. The difference between parameters and variables now is that variables, on the other hand, are values that are used as JSON fragments to simplify the template language expressions. At the same time, you could also build in user-defined functions within a template. So those ones will sit within the functions placeholder here. Then resources, this will list the type of resources that you are deploying. So is it a SQL Server environment you are deploying? Is it a SQL database? Is it a MySQL database? All of those resource names will be listed in this array. And the outputs. So for outputs, you want to see, okay, what will be the result of our deployment? It's listed there. Right. Sorry. Okay, so in most cases, database administrators will not necessarily have to write. So what they usually do is they either build them from the Azure portal leveraging the drag and drop, like I mentioned earlier. So for every step you implement, every resource you create on the portal, on Azure portal, you could just export out the templates. So the DBAs usually go for that route to export the templates, then modify it, then make it parameterized to suit their automation processes and all of that. For some, they would prefer to leverage using a template from the quick start templates, which are provided by Microsoft on GitHub. So this is just an example of what it looks like when you are trying to deploy an Azure Resource Manager template on the Azure portal. So this just shows us, okay, so this template now is deploying 5 resources. This is the storage, this is the name of the VM, the subscription, the resource group, and the settings around the VM. All of these have been coded into the JSON templates or scripted into the JSON templates. And when you try to deploy that template, it pops up a window like this where you can then either edit the template, edit parameters, or just deploy the template as a whole. So thank you. This brings me to the end of my session. I hope you've learned one or two things around creating automatic deployments on the Azure environment. Thank you so much for your time. Have a lovely evening all over the globe. It's been a pleasure being here with the MCT West Africa sessions.
All right, that was amazing. Thank you for that. And guys, we'll be going on a 10 minutes break, so make sure you get ready. If you have to drink some water, have something to eat, or drink some cup of coffee. Yeah. So.
The wizard.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the roundtable segment. Looks like we're gonna be starting up early. Let me bring on Michael. Hi, Michael. How are you doing today?
Doing fine. Can you hear me clear?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh,
Uh,
okay, great.
welcome. What's
So,
going on? How's everything going with you?
going great, and it's been an amazing 3 days. So, yeah, you see the
Yeah,
way I'm dressed up for, like, yeah, let's show some tie.
yeah. Looks like you're going for interview today, but anyway, we appreciate all your work.
Yeah, I'm going to interview the panelists. So,
So yeah, it's gonna be great.
so
Yeah.
it's a flip of the role. I'm the one dressing up for the. Yeah.
So, are we ready to bring them up?
Sure, yes, yes.
Sure.
I
Okay.
know you should be seeing them at your hand.
Yes, yes. Let's see. Star Promise.
Hmm. Hi, Promise.
Hello, Michael. Hello, Bing. How you guys doing?
Hey, how you doing? I'm great. How are you?
Doing
Okay.
great.
You're doing great.
And the boss is in the house.
Hallelujah.
Yeah,
Hello.
it's a full,
Wow.
it's
Hello,
a
Hi,
full
guys.
house.
everybody.
Hi,
Yeah,
David. Hi, everyone.
yeah.
All right. All right. So
Hi.
Michael is here to take over. So you guys have some fun. We're ready to learn. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Great, great. And so to everyone, to especially the audience, to wherever you're joining from, those joining from the watch party, those joining directly from their devices, welcome to this roundtable session. And to our amazing panelists, thank you for honoring our invitation. And these are probably the most let me not use the wrong word, the busiest people maybe currently, you know, uh, and for them to make time to be here. So I'm very grateful for your honoring us. And so without taking any extra minutes and seconds, the session is on the roundtable conversation is much more on us getting from you all what you think to be the most innovative and productive way you've seen companies use Microsoft cloud services, so that others also can take some learnings from these. So I don't know who want to go first. So maybe just to mention, since our session is 30 minutes, uh, we might not be able to go around multiple times, but please, if you can put a lot in your first talk, it would be nice. So that way we get all what you want to share with us. So who should I call up first?
I
Anyone
don't
can go
mind.
first.
I
Okay,
don't
great,
mind.
great.
Yeah. So, my thoughts exactly on this is Microsoft has been able to create a platform where you know they bring out multiple solutions to ease and help businesses make progress, right? My
Okay,
background using Microsoft services has always been on the infrastructure end. I mean, now you really don't have to, you know, power on so much servers in your offices. You really don't have to buy those huge servers you used to see before. Very expensive. Now with just the click of a button on the Azure portal, you can deploy a server that is probably going to take care of so much functions in your organization. And the beautiful thing about this is, I mean, I don't have to pay that bulk sum at once. There's a service, the pay as you go service, that you can subscribe to, let's say a very high cost server, and then with just some little fee, you make use of this service as the time goes on. Not to talk of the serverless function. Okay, for instance, you don't want to really make use of your server every time. You just want, maybe at 4 a.m. every day, you want to do a cleanup job or a maintenance job. With the serverless function on Azure, you can just program or schedule that service to run 4 a.m. every day. What this means is there will be no compute server running until 4 a.m. in the morning. A server will automatically be deployed that will carry out that function you want to do. So, I mean, you get to reduce costs. You don't have to bother with compute power. Everything works smoothly for you. So these are some of the things I see companies using now that is helping them create or give a high turnover in their profit at the end of the year, because they don't need to invest so much in the infrastructures they are using for their businesses. So
wow.
that's my take on this.
Okay, so that's a very nice one, and it's all about how we're able to companies are automating things that before they need to have a lot of people maybe running shifts on. So that's cool.
Yes,
Uh,
yes.
at the admin at the back end, can you check if it's just me, but it seems like we're having echoes. Is there something?
Yeah, I think what would happen is those guys, maybe we should mute when one person is talking so we don't get the feedback echoes. Yeah,
Uh, Let me
that's
try.
that's
Oh,
excellent. That's
I think
excellent.
it's gone off. Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
great, great. So that so who is going up there? Let me call my boss, David Brown. So I would like to also hear from you
Can you hear me
clearly, clearly.
clearly? Okay. Sorry. See, some people say bosses when we know they're bosses. So everybody, everybody is a boss here too, and I think we're living in a very, very interesting time. We're living in an interesting time, and Africa has a time to shine. Really, if you think about innovation, I always like to say that our banking sector is one of the most advanced in the world. And really, for everyone listening from everywhere in the world, it is one of the most advanced in the world. Go check it out. And the reason for that is cloud. We came to cloud faster than nearly every other country, really. So our banking system, I want to transfer to anybody, I can see exactly what the name of the person I'm
Yeah.
transferring to is, because all the banks talk to all the other banks, and every single account from every single bank is fed into a system, and in seconds I know precisely who I'm paying to. I give you an example. In the UK, a couple of like a year ago, I wanted to do a transfer, a simple transfer within the bank. And then I asked before the transfer was done, I said, please, what's the name of the account I'm transferring to? And the lady was like, she doesn't know. Like, no, no, just check your screen. That's what I was saying. Check your screen. She said, no, no, she can't know.
Whoa.
I was shocked, one, because of course, coming from Nigeria, where we're really using the cloud properly. So I now asked, okay, can I check the account number again? And I made an error. So I would have
Wow.
transferred money to
To the wrong
somebody.
someone.
Nobody will know anything about it. Probably a couple of months later, we'll now check. So that's the power of the cloud. And what Microsoft has done with is provide that cloud, all the services around the cloud, which is your infrastructure as a service, your platform as a service, your software as a service. That whole thing is available to everybody to use to really maximize it. And what I see the big innovations coming, and I am hoping Africa will kind of lead the way, is blockchain. So blockchain on the cloud, where if you talk about things like NFTs, non-fungible token that you hear, all currently there's a lot of talk there, but when it matures, when NFTs mature, you could see a situation where somebody creates a digital asset, and that digital asset follows you everywhere. So your fraud is going to be probably eliminated with NFTs because of that
Wow.
blockchain. You know precisely that you even sold this ticket to somebody, and the person can actually sell that product or whatever to someone else. And what the NFT technology and blockchain, which would sit on the Microsoft cloud and other clouds, but hopefully mostly Azure, is that you would create a new economy, completely new economy with NFTs, where you can track your product from selling it to Mr. A, have like a royalty on it, let's say 5% royalty on it. And that thing has now gone to Mr. X, but you're still
Wow.
making your royalty, because
That's
for
true.
every sale of that your product onto the next person, you make revenue, which is what NFTs are. So it's coming, and I see a huge innovation there. And I know people will innovate on the cloud, on the Microsoft cloud, to run these beautiful, wonderful blockchain technologies that are coming.
Wow, that's another completely different angle you've come to it from, and I like the way you. I think they call it technology leapfrog, where people do not expect us to be at the forefront of some tech, and then we are using it beyond the other countries in the world. So, thank you for that, and the blockchain one. So many people still think like, what are these things, and they don't yet know how greatly it will change their life in some years from now. I'm going to so welcome to Falabi and Kazim. Obviously, I'm still used to the school ways we call him. So, what we are just doing right now is, I know I've sent us the question, but so you can tell us your own experience of an innovative and highly productive way that a company is, or multiple companies are using the Microsoft Cloud. And so, two people have spoken. We have five more to go, and I'm not going to do much talking, so I'm not going to interrupt. Let's say I go with Uche right now. So Uche, uh, nice to hear from you, sir.
All right, greetings everyone. Um, for me, there's been a lot of exposure I've gotten in the last 8 to 10 months consulting for global knowledge. I come to see how a lot of companies in the UK, in Europe, are making use of Microsoft technologies, and then we try to bring it back home to Nigeria or in Africa. and then we see how well we're doing as against the rest of the world. From the area of conditional access policy, I think Microsoft is doing a really amazing good job. All right, conditional access policy where you have a lot of control over who accesses your resources, from location to time zone to IP addressing and a lot of stuff. Especially now that many of us are still working from remote places from home, now you're pretty sure that your corporate resource is safe, and you have a proper record of who accesses it. There's a proper authentication and authorization, and this really has been the bane of most cyber crimes, which has led to the new passwordless authentication that is out now. People using the Windows Hello, Microsoft Authentication, all of these bound together with the conditional access policy puts you at one of the forefronts of security. And we also the latest Gartner report ranking Microsoft as a leader now. And it's really great, and we are making a lot of progress in consuming these security technologies. I tell people everyone has a plan until they get hacked. All right. Yeah. And we've seen many companies now being open to adjusting to these Microsoft technologies. At the recent Ignite, a lot of people were there, just wanting to learn, see how they could take use of what they already have. This moves from infrastructure right into the software as a service, where automation is taking place and all the likes. In all of those beautiful services, without security involved, it's going to be a big flop, because you find the wrong people seeing the wrong table in your Power BI, seeing the wrong table in your Power Apps, accessing wrong data. So just the authentication and authorization section has really grown. Many companies have taken a cut of Microsoft's identity and access management framework. You see, just to ensure that they're on the right path. So, from the industry application, I have been part of ESI, Enterprise Skills, usually for Microsoft for the last 6 months. So, I've been involved with many people all over the world, and I'm seeing people really wanting to know more of what Microsoft is offering from the security perspective on Azure and how to take use of the huge features in Azure AD. I tell people Azure AD is your AD on steroids, and coming on and bringing it down home to the SaaS, your applications, your functions, everything running. It's been exciting, and there's still room for growth because everybody's environment is different. People having hybrid setup, some fully cloud, and for each environment, they have something very unique, and stuff like that. So I'll just give it a pause there. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you for that also interesting dimension to it, the security side, how cloud also makes it easy for you to mitigate most of the backdoors people, or should I say close the backdoors people exploit, hackers, scammers exploit to wreak havoc. So yes, that's a very nice angle to it. I'm going to move to another special person, Ahmed Oyelowo. So over to you, sir. We would like to hear.
All right, so thanks, and good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everyone, wherever when you're watching us from. I wanted to say that Uche should probably go last before now. So, but I had two candidates to go last. That's Uche and Zim, right? So, but now that we have heard from Uche, probably can go last, and we can maybe still have Uche to come back to build up some interesting stuff. So for me, I think I would probably like to just paint a scenario, how the Microsoft Cloud technology is really helping in today's world, where we find ourselves today, especially after the COVID-19 pandemic. It almost seems like maybe the preparation that Microsoft have had prior to now really investing a lot in this cloud tech to really came in handy at the right time, right? So when the world really went to a lockdown, that basically spiraled into a lot of remote opportunities for many people, right? Now, without these things in place, it wouldn't have been really easy to take up one of these remote opportunities. Gladly enough, Uche already spoke about security. Okay, so for example, now we in Nigeria now we have the ability to work, consulting companies around the world and be able to see how they leverage this Microsoft technologies to their advantage. Okay, so take for example now, let's say that you have a consulting friend in the UK, but you don't really need to have staff on ground in the UK can basically hire per project that you get. Okay, so you get a project, hire consultants to work on that project. Now, how do you now manage, all of those processes? Okay, so for example, now you could have a virtual machine setup whereby your working file. So I'll probably basically just use a Power BI as an example. So basically need to develop Power BI desktop, right? So the Power BI desktop you currently work with now, it's possible that you have maybe quite a number of people that are working on that same file. Okay, so you could have developers working on it. You could have maybe other senior guys that are going to have to, review what the developer has done and stuff like that. So you can basically have all of those things on Microsoft Virtual Machine line, so that anytime the developer needs to work, it's even possible that you have a developer from India, for example, who is completely, outside of your own time zone, right? So while the India guy is working, he basically just needs to start virtual machine from the cloud and then box his own hours. Maybe during the day you want to do your own review, start the virtual machine, you also the same file. At the same time, it's even also possible as well that you also set up MFA, which is Microsoft two-factor authentication, just like Che rightly mentioned as well, so that whoever is also going into the virtual machine as well doesn't just have direct access like that. So before you could log into the VM, for example, you are going to get it on your phone for you to confirm that you're actually logging into the virtual machine. So all of this is also put security in place while also ensuring that you are able to remotely, while also beating down costs as much as possible. So another angle I'm also going to share about this is that in those in the Europe and in the US as well, is not really uncommon for you to see that developers, Power BI developers, have to a Power BI solution, and they really just have to deliver the Power BI desktop file, right? So it's not like maybe it's like an end-to-end solution whereby you deploy the Power BI then clouds. They have a lot of people that really just need the Power BI desktop file as well. Some actually work on Power BI desktop file. So in that instance as well, the consulting company also have a SharePoint whereby the secure way or the secured way for sharing the output with the client is always going to be through SharePoint. And this can always be in both ways, right? So, I'm using the example of consulting friend now. So it could be that the client will actually be the one to set up all of this infrastructure, and then provide access to the consulting team that's at the same time, it could also be you that is also the consultant that's going to set up all these things and provide visibility, work in progress and everything, clients. So I think that's what I would like to say about that for now. Thank you.
Thank you. And just to recap, while before I call up others, what everybody has said, Promise has mentioned about automation of routine tasks and some of those things that companies typically have to get people to do and pay them to do, or have a lot of staff doing. Now they can have fewer staff and automate those things on the cloud. And David has mentioned, not just mentioned, has shown how what is very visible to us that sometimes we take for granted, how in the banking sector, our own banks are a lot ahead of many banks in other world in using cloud to make it easy for we the consumers to be able to even do transactions in a much more error-free way because that's what that achieves, and also maybe close to real time too, since our transfers are usually instant here compared with what exists in even some of the developed countries. And the power of blockchain, Uche mentioned security, how cloud allows us to now block some of those conventional ways that hackers and scammers try to gain some backend, some unauthorized access into our as a company. Now your infrastructure or your user's account using passwordless technology. Now people and two-factor authentication, all these things powered by cloud. Companies are now no longer being on where their risk is reduced compared to before when they do not have these options. And then Ahmed has also hinted on the future of work, how we can be here, or as someone who is a tech person, I can be here and be working for companies, somewhere else in the world. And also for companies too, regardless of where they are, they can access talents that are not, right in their neighborhood or close to them. So people no longer worry about how far is your office from my house, and collaboration also too. So I'm going to move now to another special person, Adewale Yusuf. I like your dress. It's more African. It's like
I'm
you
just
went
trying to
one
be a good Africa.
direction and then you went good. So let's hear from you, sir.
Thank you so much, Michael. Thank you so much, everyone. So, to me, I think Microsoft.
I think he has a freeze.
I was about to check
Yeah.
whether it was my network. Okay, maybe
Yeah, I think
while we try and get him back, I can move on to Abisoye. So Abisoye, another powerful person in the house, is one of the. Is like is like the other version of Sheyi in terms of they are both special in their part. They know how to pull community and do a lot of miracles. So it's a pleasure that he was able to create time for us. So Abisoye, it would be nice to hear from you and your wealth of experience.
Okay, thank you very much, Michael. I want to say that the Microsoft Cloud or cloud in general has really helped with the experience, user experience of various customers. I wouldn't want to go into security because I think other speakers have spoken about security. But I want to pick on user experience. Just as Dr. David Brown earlier mentioned around being able to do instant payment and all of that. I see that as user experience. Having great user experience these days would require you to leverage some cloud technologies one way or another. Is it single sign-on or is it allowing customers to be able to sign in into their product or service from any part of the world? Is it being able to track anonymous activities or thereabouts based on user activities or malicious activities that might be tracked from the Azure Security Center or thereabout, or any cloud service provision. I think companies that are building very nice, great user experience these days leverage cloud technologies, be it from toast notification to seamlessly moving data all across the globe in less than 2 seconds or thereabout, ensuring data is redundant and all sorts of things. So it's quite interesting to see how cloud technology that is really being quite impactful in the space of user experience. So to have actually great user experience across board to any product or anybody listening who is deciding to build products or solutions that will scale across the globe or even scale within the African market or thereabout, you definitely need to leverage some cloud technologies one way or another. The other thing I also want to touch a bit is, excuse me, it's around working with people, access, um, granting people access to resources or things that is either role based or project based or based on whatever they're working on per time is something that is also quite interesting. Gone are the days whereby you definitely need to reach out to a number of people to decommission or remove a particular user from your tenant or thereabout. But right now, just with a click or even scheduling it ahead or even saying once a particular resource has been deleted or thereabout, remove this particular users or things of that nature has really helped a lot. So I think we'll definitely see more and more of this, looking into blockchain or thereabouts, which is a space where I'm currently very invested in and all of that. It's quite interesting to see what the future holds for cloud technologies and the likes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That is another very exciting angle you've come to it from. It's true. Most of us do not even talk about these things from the customer side as experience. And the angle you brought to it it's kind of interesting. Because of time, I'm going to go straight to another of my big bosses, Mr. Kazim. So,
Hello.
Kazim, uh,
Hello,
and
Mr.
Adewale, I'll come back to you. You froze. I'll let you do all over.
Looks like we have questions. Would you like to pick a question?
Yes, so I noted the question, so I would
Okay.
ask
All right.
after.
All right.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, and good afternoon, or good evening, or good morning, depending on where people are watching us from right now. So I think people have touched on most of the areas, right? So I think I would just like to look at it from the angle of digital transformation. Um, we have many digital disruptions that are happening around the globe as a result of COVID, as a result of COVID-19. So this is forced, COVID-19 is forced every business is to change, especially the way they engage with their customers now. And how well they can also take advantage of the data that they have so that they can continue to function as a business. So I'll just talk about it from the business that I manage. I work at the Lasso CBT. Lasso CBT is a startup, for instance, and last year, because we didn't position ourselves well enough to be able to deal with the COVID situation, so it really affected us, as a business. But we've been able to take away, we've been able to learn some lessons from it, and now we've positioned the business such that we can function even if there's another round of COVID that happens to affect everybody. So we've been able to just position ourselves better. And I would also want to tie this to our use of Microsoft 365. So most of the business processes that we have now, so we've leveraged Microsoft 365 to automate some of the processes, and then how we can also attend to some of our customers. We have a lot of working customers, so people come to us to render, for us to be able to render some of our services to them. So we've tried now to see how best we can automate some of the services where we no longer need to have those people come to us. Another one that I want to also quickly mention is cloud computing itself. The market, the general market for cloud computing. I was doing some analysis sometimes ago on a show that I anchor with another friend of mine, and we're able to see that the market is what about that's the African market now is what about $2 billion, right? So when we narrow it down, so we're looking at it that okay, Nigerian market will be holding on to about 500 million, of the market. So it would be nice to see that we have some local players, some local companies coming up with cloud-related services now, where they can plug into, some of these big player in the cloud space, like the Azure. Like we have some local companies already doing that, so they've been able to plug into Azure to render some of those services. So I think that is also key to see how much of this big money can also come to us so that we can use that to scale our economy, to improve our economy. And, David also mentioned, the financial sector. So, we're doing pretty well. South Africa, like he mentioned, is on top of things with regards to financial services. The fintech space is really big in Africa. When you look at solutions like M-Pesa, what the Flutter Waves guys are doing, I think M-Pesa is also cloud powered. Even transportation system in Nigeria, there's this new company, I think they're called Trips. And so it's amazing, some of the
Wow.
things that people are leveraging, cloud to be able to deliver. But it would be nice that we have some local people also
Yeah.
taking advantage of this. So that's
All
my.
right. Thank you. So that's a very pertinent one. So, Mr. Dewale, back to you before they kick me out.
Yes. Sorry for the glitch in
Yeah.
the network. Okay, so just a quick recap of what everybody had said. Microsoft Cloud Services has been interesting, and also the COVID-19 gave a lot of organizations the opportunity to embrace the cloud services. I can remember sometimes when I enter a class, I will ask participants, which version of Excel are you using? I'm using 2013. The participant will be using 2016. But because they know that during the COVID-19 work from home, you may have to collaborate with your colleagues on a particular document, on a particular file. So they have to migrate to Office 365. And then also regarding reporting, a lot of people have been able to create automation. So talking about the Power Platform, well, I've seen a lot of automation we've done for clients where when you get a data from IT in your email, you don't need to open the email. You can create an automation from Power Automate that will take the data and put it in OneDrive or SharePoint for you. Then Dataflow take that data from there, supply it to Power BI, and just in 2 minutes, your report is ready. So people don't see that again manipulating data and do all sort of stuff. So you can automate a lot of things with the Power Platform, even Power Apps. So for me, I think really most of our clients for the past 9 months have actually embraced the use of Power Platform, which they are not really using before. Most of them use Power Apps now to be able to automate most of their repeated tasks. And in fact, I know some people that the way they use Word, even ordinary Word, before COVID-19 is very, very, let me say, irritating. But if you did the way they use it now because of the cloud services, they use a lot of automations and all that. So all of us have mentioned something great. I won't like to talk too
All
much
right.
on that.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. So Michael, let's go with time. Our time is up, but I think
I
we should pick
notice.
that question, right? There's one
Okay.
question I was asked about the 100%.
Yes, that's the only question I think so far has come in.
Yeah, if
Do
you can
you?
just look into that real quick, and we
Okay,
can
great.
go
So
for a
here's a
break.
question that is say the question is, will you suggest 100% cloud for a new startup? And how can we manage data recovery when faced with issue? That's exactly what the person said. Anybody wants to give it a shot? Will you suggest 100% cloud for a new startup? How can we manage data recovery
Yeah,
when?
I want to try that.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
So I would respond in two phases. Straight up answer would be yes, um, because as a startup, you depending on the phase you are at, you definitely want to run fast and all of that. So going all full cloud makes lots of sense. Also, depending on the industry you're in, if you're in financial industry or fintech or thereabout, there might be some scenarios out there about why you might not be allowed to use cloud. You might need to have your own things built, and depending on whatever service you're also offering as well. But yes, cloud all the way, anytime, any day.
Awesome, awesome.
I think I would
Thank you.
second that as well, because a lot of all of this borders around costing, and yes, I know there are fundings, there are seed offerings these days, but in terms of infrastructure, you really want to manage the cost. And funny enough, Azure has wonderful services that can help you reduce your cost and at the same time achieve maximum performance. So
Well, I
yeah,
have a different view.
100%.
I have a
Yeah.
very different
Let,
conflicting view.
let's have one
Quickly.
more. Let's have one more from you, then we can go on break.
All right. So I have been with many folks who the question is, it's what does your industry say about the use of technology? For example, in the NHS in Europe, they have primarily some certain data that must sit on premise. For certain insurance companies, they have certain data that must sit on premise. Even so, for our financial companies in Nigeria. So if you're a startup, you need to find out what your industry regulation states first before you know how to kick off. So if you're coming in with into an unregulated industry, cloud first. If you're coming to an environment that is heavily regulated, that has a lot of stakes on what to do and what not to do, then I suggest you stick with what should be done. Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, everyone. So
Thank you for
Benga,
joining
over
us.
to
Yeah,
you.
I'll take over now. We'll have to go on
Thank
a break.
you.
All right.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
guys.
All
Bye.
right.
Everyone, bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, bye, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
All right, guys. Next break, we are coming back for the roundtable talk for community in the next 10 minutes. So I'm about to take a break now, and we'll be back for the rest of the show.
the reason.
All right, welcome everybody. We are back to number three event for today. Another roundtable is gonna be amazing. Let me start bringing our wonderful people up. Where is? Let's see the beautiful Olayinka. Hello, Olayinka. How are you?
Hello, good evening. I'm
Welcome.
excited to be here.
Hello, Ahmed. How are you?
Hi, good evening, Heidi.
Welcome,
I'm
sir.
fine. Great.
All right, awesome. We're waiting for you guys to come and bless everybody here with a lot of wonderful information. I'll start bringing people up while we prepare for this amazing session. Right, looks like we are complete. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome to MCT West Africa. And our audience are waiting for you guys to come and bless us with all your experience, everything you've been able to gather for the past few years. And I think it's going to be wonderful. So, Olayinka and Ahmed, you can take over. Thank you.
All right. Hello, good everyone. How you can hear me?
Yeah, we
Yes, we
can
can
hear
hear
you.
Yes,
you.
Yeah.
yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
We
Good
can hear
afternoon,
you.
good morning, good evening, everyone. I know we are in different locations. Once again, my name's Hamid Abdelaziz. I will start by introducing myself first before we can start today's section. I am the MVP for business application, and also I'm the lead group for Dynamic 365 user group in Nigeria. So here with me, we have my colleague Olayinka. Okay, kindly introduce yourself.
Okay. Okay. Like you said, my name is Olayinka. Okay. A Microsoft certified data analyst, basically. Yeah, that's it from me.
Okay, thank you very much. So today's topic will be discussing regarding the how to improve community impact in Africa generally. And here with us, we have speakers from different locations in the West Africa. First, I'd like to introduce one of our panelists, which his name is Thomas Festus Kuje. Kuje is Microsoft certified data analyst. He's a Microsoft certified trainer as well, and he has been an expert in this field. And he has trained um, several hundreds of people regarding the data Power BI and data analysis as well. So here with us, I have Tabitha, who is a business consultant, and she's also a techpreneur. And also, I have again one of our panelists, Lemai Andrew, who is a senior brand strategist at Bridge Tech Innovation Hub as well. Another wonderful person that we have here is Kofi Adai. He's a cybersecurity expert and a cloud security expert as well. That's just wonderful things he has been doing for his community. So, again, we have Adekule Dean, which is who is a cybersecurity expert as well. He is a Microsoft certified trainer, and he has years of expertise in this field as well. We have Popola Isiaka Olamilekan, who is a corporate technical trainer. And so here, this is our panelists. We're going to discuss around the community, the impact of the community in Africa, and how this actually benefit us, or how people also that coming behind can also benefit from this. So this is topic for today. And first, I would like to ask, start with the first question, which is um, in this, of course, we understand the importance of the community in Africa today, and over the years, community has actually grown to improve the life of people around, not just in West Africa or in Africa, but globally as well. So today, as we go on to discuss these issues, so we are going to also be asking our panelists about some few kind of questions, right? So first, I would like to ask, so what is the okay, I think I will have to open the floor for Olayinka to ask these questions as well, right? Olayinka.
Okay, so
Okay.
sorry. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. So, like we had said, this table, this this table discussion is really talking about community and what the impact of community has been. So, the first question we'd like to ask our panelists for them to tell us. We understand you've been members of different communities. So, can you tell us what really has been the biggest benefit to you? Like, if somebody asks you today, why do you do all of this community work? What's in it for you? What do you get from it? Um, I don't know if I need to pick someone or if someone wants to go first. Thomas, you're
Okay,
smiling.
yeah.
So,
Okay, so let me go first. So being part of a tech community or being part of any community, one of the benefits that I've gotten is exposure. Like being a member of a community, you'll be able to grow your knowledge, you'll be able to learn so many things from other people. Technology is changing rapidly. So when you become member of a community, you get the opportunity to meet experts in different fields. So through that interaction, you get the opportunity to learn so many things at the same time. Because when you go to meetups, you'll be able to get connected with people who are working in different fields or different levels of technology. So getting that exposure helps you to really learn so many things about technology. It also helps you to improve yourself and also provide a platform where you can also network with other people. So these are some of the benefits that you get when you join a community. Yeah.
okay, fantastic, fantastic. Adekunle, would you like to tell us what you have benefited the most from being a member of the community?
Yes, yes. I would just like to add to what Thomas has already said. And also, you get the opportunity to have lots of support because obviously we are IT guys, and if you have any issues, you can typically don't know it all. So if you have issues, it's easy for you to reach out to any of your community members to ask questions, and they can walk you through simple things. And when you have resources, also you can easily share resources with your community members. That's one of my biggest advantage for me when joining communities. You have resources to share, you have support, you have connections, and the like. So it's all wins when you're in the community. It's all wins for me. Yeah. Thanks.
Okay, okay, fantastic. Everybody is saying, um, like around the same thing of sharing resources, sharing, learning together, and all of that. But Tabitha, is there
Yeah.
something from a business angle? I know you are into business and a lot of other things. So is there something a bit different that you want to tell us that you have benefited?
Well, like, okay, just like we all know, being a community, you just like they said, you enjoy benefits of everyone. And also, for me personally, right? Like being in a community, like tech community, it has helped me to get to improve on my techpreneur career. Like sometimes I just get stuck, but just the fact that I'm in a community, I just know, okay, I just know who to just call. I get to meet mentors and people that could just mentor and just walk you through various stages to help you become a specialist. That's really what's good for me, like for me.
Yeah, like my takeaway from Tabitha's response is the network. Because so for example, there are some people on LinkedIn, it's something that's happened to me. There's some people on LinkedIn that you just see them and they look like they're far away there, you can't reach them and stuff like that. But sometimes when you join a community, you don't feel like, oh, this person I've been looking at on LinkedIn, this person is also in this community, and it gives you a ground to sort of approach the person and say, oh, I have something I want to talk to you about, and it just makes it easily accessible for you. And another thing for me that I think I like to add is sometimes when you're at your low times, you have encouragement. Like there's a community I'm on, and sometimes we have these things we just call a daily rant. So just come and talk about whatever it is that is bothering you. Maybe it's one thing you've been learning, you're not getting the headway with, you're not, you seem not to be. Just feel free to. It's a safe space, and then everybody now comes to say, "Oh, I'm going through the same thing," and then we all encourage each other. Someone shares tips about, "Oh, this is how to get out of it," and all of that. And I think it's really a lot for everybody. But away from just being a member of a community, now let's talk about when you're the one leading the community. That's like a bigger work, and I mean, it has to come with bigger benefits. And I want to direct that question first to Popola. You are in Osun State, where it seems like sometimes it looks like everything happens in Lagos. So I just feel like for you to be doing what you're doing in Osun State, you must be doing a lot of work. So like my question to you is, what is driving you? Why are you doing it anyway? Why are you doing all of that work, Mr. Popola? Your mic is mute. You have to unmute your mic first.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can
Yeah,
hear you
Yes,
now.
we can hear you.
All right. For me, driving a community is about passion, is about development. Since I became a Microsoft certified trainer, it's like I've imposed a kind of responsibility on myself because of that title. Apart from my living, that is to train and to facilitate sections, the opportunity of being part of Microsoft certified trainer has added a layer of responsibility for what I do normally. And for instance, now in organizing this boot camp, there were a lot of effort in getting people to be registered. You have to engage people, the reason why you have to do this, as if somebody want to pay you for that. And if you don't have passion, there's no way you can be knocking on somebody's door that, look, see what people are getting from this. You too can also become somebody like that. For me, it has been more of passion that I should be able to help others to move ahead. And since we had our watch party yesterday, I've been receiving calls. Mr. Kukola, what we said yesterday, what is the way forward? We just need to start. I can't wait anymore. So
That's
so
so nice.
all those ones will be, to you may see them as
Gives you
distractions. Maybe
joy.
you are in the middle of solving a problem and somebody is asking questions that, look, I have another problem, come and help me to solve it. So if you are not passionate about it, there's no way you can move ahead in going along with others. So for me, it is about passion. It is about what you want to share with people and you want to impact people positively. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so for me, Mr. Popola just said, many times it's just the joy of seeing other people doing
yeah,
so well, and seeing what other people are seeing, the joy that people derive from all of this work that you're doing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Mr.
yeah.
Kofi, can you tell us what the benefit has been for you? What you think the biggest benefit is?
Well, when you join a community, I mean, for me personally, I think everyone should join a community, especially if you want to get into tech. There's a lot of benefit. I mean, Thomas mentioned that, Adewale also mentioned that, and Tibet Tab also mentioned that. The key thing is that you join these communities, and even at work, right? Probably you have an issue that you don't know how to resolve the issue, right? Just throw it into the community. You'll be surprised
Yes.
that someone have already faced that issue before, and they'll give you the
yeah,
answer. And giving the
Yeah.
answer, now going back to your company and obviously
You're looking
delivering that
like the
project.
star.
Exactly. That's the
And
key. Yeah. And those are the benefit. And the other benefit is that obviously Microsoft have recognized that they cannot probably support everyone, right? So they reward people who actually contribute in the community. So if someone have an issue and then I have the solution, The more I contribute, the more it gives me the opportunity to present myself to Microsoft for the work I'm doing to the community. And then they reward you greatly to become an MVP or something like that. So always try to be someone who contributes in the community, and definitely get some reward, because it goes both ways. If you have issues, someone will help you, and if someone have issues, you help them as well. So we help each other in the community. So these are some of the benefits that I've seen joining the community.
Fantastic. For me, leading a community. So I don't necessarily lead any community, but I volunteer on some communities. So I'm like on the leadership team, and I really think that going back to what Mr. Popola said, the joy of seeing people doing so well, just because, for example, someone joined our community last year, and then she joined our Power BI class, and in 3 or 4 months, of course, she told me she was having a data analyst interview. I prepared her for an interview, and the next one, she told me she had 2 job offers on her laps. I wasn't the one that had the job, but everybody around me heard the story, because it's just the joy of the impact that it makes on people, especially, I mean, in a place like Nigeria or Africa, where technology is what is giving a lot of us a level playing ground, and it's really a joy to be part of all of it. Ahmed, we will take the next question now. Ahmed, over to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Kat, and for wonderful question that you asked our panelists. Thank you for that. And of course, the importance of the communities cannot be emphasized in development of tech person or tech guru, or especially in the business as well. And this actually bring a lot of people together, and also impacts lives as well. So my next question will be that the impact of the tech community in the advancement of careers of people. And of course, I've seen people working towards or asking me about how they can actually, advance their career as part of excuse me. So as part of the community work. So how can they be part of the community, and then how can this also help them to advance their career? So I want to ask, so what are the impacts of the tech community actually done in terms of, or how can people, how can the tech community impact the people's career in what they take in the tech aspect? So I would like to go first with Popola.
Your question again, please.
Yes, what are the community has actually taken part in the people's career? Like, what are the impact of the community in advancing the people's career as well, especially the tech career? Yeah.
All right. I want to give a practical illustration about myself. When I was preparing to move into tech, I have tried so many places. Let me try this, let me try that. I couldn't get an headway because I was not doing the right way, until somebody introduced me to a tech community that what you are trying to solve is what they deal with almost on everyday basis. And when I joined that community, it was a Power BI community. When we had the first Power BI conference in Nigeria at Lagos State, University of Lagos. And that's why I got to know some individuals, the likes of Ahmed Oyewole, the likes of David Abu, the likes of Foyin, and others. And I drew inspiration from them that, look, if they can, if I can be in their midst, I can become one of them one day. And from there, I started learning a lot of things that I don't know where to start from. I became their far distance friend. They don't know me, but me, I know them. So I follow them up on their social media handles because they mentioned it that day. And I track them by their productions, by their content development, and from there I got inspiration that, look, this is how they got it, this is how they do it, and that's how I should also do my own. So from far distance, people can benefit from following up with community. And when they are now having the opportunity, maybe a professional platform like MCT now. They now
And your
have
guest
access to.
today.
So they now have access to a broad community about what is going on. Like this one now, if not because I'm close to the MVPs in the house, I wouldn't have gotten this advantage of talking to people about my transition into tech. So for me, people have a lot of benefits if they move with people that lead communities that are passionate in leading communities and funding communities. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's a great one. That is very important aspect of advancing people's career as well. So I don't want to waste much time, but I would like to go with Tabitha. So what do you think about what has this impact done in the lives of people that are coming up?
Okay, I feel like, okay, using myself as an example, right? Like 2 years back when I joined the tech community, I was like a total novice. I didn't even know anything. And then, coupled with the fact that I had to attend, everything was just so exciting. And then I just kind of like connected to everybody. And before you know what's happening, we started having like different activities, and that helped build my career level, which is why right now in Plateau State we're trying as much as possible to like encourage a lot of people. Okay, you don't have to know anything about tech, just join. There are professionals, there are advanced users, there are all kinds of people there, and they can help you grow through the whole process of the career. So I feel that's what we're doing.
Yeah, that's great. I can just hear a lot of things about how this actually improve the life of people coming up. I can also remember because everyone has a story to tell about in terms of being part of the community, what has the community done in them, and how they are able to manifest into the community to advance their career as well. And also, I can take myself as an example, of course. So when I get started, of course, I was looking for different. I mean, I was looking like people, joining the community on LinkedIn. I was like, how can this happen in Nigeria as well? And that's why we're able to bring some of these things to Nigeria, and people can actually join and advance their career. Of course, that's actually bring me to the next question, and then. Of course, before I go to the next question of logs, I would like to ask Kofi Adai regarding the impact of that. And of course, apart from being myself, so what's what other things of course, the impact of these communities are actually done in your community as well, in your community, in your country.
Well, I mean, it's all about learning. Once you join a community, you get things like this, right? People delivering courses, and you don't have to pay a penny, right? So those are some of the benefit in Ghana or every part of the world, right? These set of communities that we create, right? I mean, the whole notion of a community is always working together for one cause or multiple, and that's the goal here. And it helps each and every one. The other thing is that, I mean, you guys mentioned it. Once you join a community, right, those guys that you see as superstars, you now have that line of communication with them, right? You can speak directly with them. Now you can have mentor that can obviously encourage you to the career path that you decide to take. They can advise you on how they go into the community, and that can greatly refine your path. And then you achieve even much more than if you have done it on your own. So those are some of the things that, for me personally, I've seen that a lot of people are doing. For example, me, right? I'm an introvert person, right? If you wanted for community, probably I will not be on this panel, right? Because I will shy away from it. But join the community, show you other things that you probably wouldn't have done if you were going on your own. And you meet great people like what I mean. I met all of you guys, and more likely we are all going to be connected in a network. And next project, you're obviously going to take part of it as well. So it's very, very inspirational to always encourage anyone that you meet to be part of a community.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's fantastic. And of course, if you have to go on and on, we have a lot of people who have to say about the community here, right? So, due to the time limit, so my next question will be towards what kind of the hard advice can you give to the upcoming tech guru, and how can they participate in this tech community? So, I would like to go with Ade first.
Okay, thanks, Amit. Okay, so first off, for upcoming techies that don't know how to go about it, the advice that it's good to always have a mentor to start with because it makes it easier. You have someone that has gone through that path before, and he or she can make it easier for you to not make the same mistake. So that's like one of the major things now. That advice: go to a mentor. You have um, guys that have been in tech industry for many years that can guide you, even introduce you to experts in different communities and help you with your path. Because one of what I've noticed is that when coming up, people barely know what they want to go into. IT is so large. You have the programming, you have the infrastructure, and so on. So they get confused that it might take a while before they finally find what they really want to do. So that's one major thing. So that's why I would advise you go with a mentor. You ask questions. Yeah, that's also a major thing. Just ask questions. No question is too boring or something. Just ask a lot of questions and you get guided. So that's my advice. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good one. I remember when I started, I was looking for people to mentor me, right? Like, so it takes then when we started, so it's difficult for us for me to get maybe some from other few other guys too, to for them to also look up to people they can actually meet up to see that they can actually mentor them, right? So of course, I've seen a lot of people in my box and LinkedIn and send my email, phone call, like WhatsApp. That how can I mentor them? How can I get people to get but a lot of people I get confused about, the what aspect to take. Some people are doing this, they're doing that. They want to be Azure, they want to do Dynamics, they want to do Office 365. They're just doing it, right? But I don't know which one actually let's take. So the mentor, as just said, is very important. When you check communities, because we have a lot of people, experts in the field, right, in the community that can actually put it to some things, right. So of course, what do you think about this also? What I'm gonna ask, okay, Tabitha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. What advice can you give to the upcoming community, and also how can they also join as well
Well,
in your local area?
okay. So for upcoming, aside from getting the mentor, but most times, like it's easier to get a mentor through a community. So if you could look for a community close to your environment, close to your where you are, I'm sure you definitely get one. I know in the northern part of Nigeria here, we don't have a lot of like Microsoft community, but we at Gova Track Africa are actually, in short, after our watch party yesterday, we just set up a community in Govatra Africa, and then we are like everybody that wants to join in the north, you can reach out to us at Govatra Africa, and then we can lead you through the process of becoming a techpreneur. Yep.
Okay, that's good. And so we have okay, also the Popola. What do you think? I think you're muted.
For me,
Okay. Yeah.
yes, for me, I think people should be passionate about what they want to achieve in life. If you are passionate, you will always find way forward around it. For instance, now if somebody has invited you to a watch party or informed you about proceedings at this convention that we are just ending today, and you are passionate about it, then take that opportunity, because that will be a stepping stone to what is next in the build up to that event. For instance, now people were asking yesterday at our watch party that popular after today, what is next? They were asking about sustainability plan, and I was giving them assurances that after this is what is next, this is what is next, this is what is next. But depending on your preparation to take up those
Yeah.
challenges. But if they have not come, I wouldn't have gotten that opportunity to let them know what lies ahead So
Yeah.
it is more of individual that, look, I'm determined and I'm ready. I was talking to a guy yesterday, he was saying he wants to go into programming. And I said, it's a rough road, but if you are ready to go through it, then you can achieve what you need. So it's about individual that be passionate and be ready when you have a method that is giving you guidance. Okay, these are the ways you should go about it. You should try to go through those roads. And if they are asking you to join communities, you should also be passionate to also know what they are doing at the community level. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's great.
Guys, thank you, guys. I think our time is getting closer, so yeah, I think we should round
Yeah,
up.
we're rounding up.
Thank you.
Yeah, just 3 minutes. So, thank you very much, guys, for your contributions. That's a wonderful one. It's good to have you guys. Olayinka, so you want to say something? Then we go ahead and close.
All right. Thank you very much to all our panelists. We've said a lot. For me, one thing I just want to add is that, see, there are many times you feel like, what am I going to do in a community? I don't really know tech. I don't have anything. And because when you join a community, it's important for you to be involved. So you may think that because you don't really know tech, you're just learning, maybe you can't be involved. But you can be involved. There's so much to do. There's planning events, there's managing social media. In one community I joined, when I started, I didn't have any tech skill. But because I was always on Twitter, whenever someone mentioned us or said something, I'll go to the founder and say, oh, someone is mentioning us. After a while, she just told me, see, you're always online. Just be helping us to manage our social media. So I didn't have a tech skill to offer then, but then I had something to offer the community. And getting involved and also playing a part in community is important, not just looking for what you can get all the time. And we've also shared the link to some of our online groups that you can join on the chat. So please follow up with those links and get on the community. You really can't get too much. You can't have too much of community. Thank you very much to all our panelists. It's been really nice chatting with you all. And enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Bia, thank you.
All right, sure. Thank you, Olayinka, Ahmed,
Mr. Benga,
Ola,
feel free.
Depunle.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. See you guys soon. All right, guys. You're going on the short break for another 10 minutes, and we'll be right back. So stay tuned, guys. Stay tuned.
The Wizard. The Wizard.
Hello, Mr. Clements. Are you ready for us?
Sure, I'm ready. Hello.
Can you share your screen?
All right.
Thank you.
So I don't know if Olana is here. Should be joining.
Oh, Alana. Okay, let me bring her up right there. Yes, Lana is right here.
All right, great. Hi, Olana.
Hi, Alana.
Hi, Clem. Hi, everyone.
Hi, how you doing? Wonderful.
I'm fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Clement, you're the only one we can see. What's going on back
Okay,
there?
all right, great. All right. Hi, everyone. So to for this section, we are going to be talking about IoT actually. So my name is Clement, and with me here is Olana. So I am a firmware developer. I have over 4 years experience, and then I'm an MCT and also certified Azure
Sorry to
IoT.
cut you off, Clement. Alana, can you see him? Your
No,
screen
I
is
cannot
dark,
see
woman.
Clement. The screen is
Yeah,
black.
your screen is dark.
My screen
Check
is
your
dark.
cam. Yeah, very dark.
Uh,
All right, now you
is it
can.
better?
Okay, yeah, we can see you now.
All right, great. So we are going to be looking into a temperature demo and temperature monitoring. This is actually a demo session, and then I'm
Okay.
going to walk you through the data collection part, and why Olana here is going to show you through the data visualization part. So first of all, for the demo session, we are currently using 4 devices. So we actually picked this sector and it's agriculture. So on the agriculture sector, we are looking at crop monitoring. We are just monitoring temperature actually, temperature and humidity, and then we're also looking at we are looking at crop storage and production storage, and also crop and animal production also. So we are using 4 devices, one live device, and the other 3 are simulated. This is an MX chip. So I'm going to walk you through how I was able to set up the data collection part. So this live device actually, the MS chip. So to do this, I'm going to share my screen. This is actually very easy to set up for me to be able to get temperature readings and humidity readings fast to the cloud. The MS chip is actually a device. It's actually good for learning. It has lots of sensors on it. It has humidity, temperature sensor. It has pressure sensor, and it also have an accelerometer on board also. So it's something that you could actually use to learn. So some people used to ask themselves that, so is hardware actually really easy to learn? Like, do I need to buy all these, buy all that? You could actually use the simple board to learn bare metal programming, real-time operating system also. So these are actually great boards to use to learn. I don't know if you can see it here. So I am going to show you how I was able to get this board up and running. So I'm going to share my screen now. Uh, oh, I can actually share screen. All right. Can you see my screen?
Not yet, Clement.
Uh,
Okay, yes,
all
I
right,
can see your
great.
screen. Go ahead.
Yeah, great, great. All right. So this is the MX chip. The first place you want to go to is the started page. So this here is going to like show you how to get up and running with the MX chip board. So what I just did is that I actually follow this process. So you can just go to MX chip, get started, put it on Google, and you probably see the first page that should come up should be this. So here, this part will probably just show you how to prepare the hardware. You need the USB, and so the MS chip will probably come with the USB when you get one. So I have the pack here. It actually comes with the USB. Uh, so yeah, going through this process will actually take you through the process of creating an IoT hub. So the IoT hub is actually like a gateway where your devices will like send the telemetry to. So the reason why we use the IoT hub is that so you can actually create an identity for your devices, and only devices that you register on the IoT hub can actually send information to the IoT hub. So that the IoT hub is probably just acting as a cloud gateway. So this get started guide will show you how to actually create one so that you can get your board up and running. So here it takes you through provisioning an IoT hub. I did all these. To register a device, like I said, you need to have a device registered, and then so this will cover that also. So the board will actually show like a file system when you plug it in for the first time. You can see the picture here. So all you just have to do is, this is like the first time you need to get the firmware. You download the firmware here, and then you just drop it into this. So what happens is that immediately you drop the firmware into the board will automatically pick it and then load up the firmware. So the default firmware that will show when it loads up is the one that is probably going to read temperature and humidity and then sends it to the IoT hub. But at first, you might need to connect it to a network. So I did all that. So you can see here is actually how you copy it in. It will tell you how to like connect the board to a hotspot, so that like this board actually has Wi-Fi on board. So that is how it's able to reach the Azure IoT hub. So all this process will take you through that. Yes. So one important thing to note is the IoT device connection string. So once you want to actually tell the device to connect to a network, you actually have the option of including the link to your IoT hub, like the connection string of the device that you registered on IoT hub. So once you put it here, immediately you put it here and just reset the device, or you click on save, the device resets, and then the next thing is that it starts pushing temperature and humidity um, um, data to the IoT hub. So I did all this. You can see Wi-Fi connected, save, and that is it. So you can see now that this is what is actually showing on the board. Temperature and humidity being sent. You can see what we have here also. Yeah, so we have three other devices also for this demo that is sending similar data to the cloud. So MX chip is actually a good board to use. There are other boards like, if you're probably asking that, okay, so I want something that I could package to use to measure temperature, humidity. I'm using because of this demo use case. I'm talking about temperature and humidity. So they actually, you just need to go to the Azure device catalog. There are actually devices there that are Azure IoT Hub certified and also Edge certified, that you can actually see ones that I think they call them level 1 devices, because they are able to it's like a plug and play device, just like the MS chip is, like how we're able to just configure it without writing any code, and it's already sending temperature and humidity. There are other boards that are other devices that are just similar, that the process is just similar that way, and then you can just have this information being sent to the cloud. So yes, we have 4 devices sending data to the IoT hub, and Olana is going to be talking about the use case of this demo and showing you everything that she did on the visual part of it. So Olana. Olana, I think I'm muted.
Oh, shoot. All right, so I said I was going to share my screen shortly. I am sharing my screen already. Please let me know as soon as you can see my screen from your end. Oh, I think I can
All
see
right,
my
great.
screen.
I can see, yeah.
Okay, great. So Clement talked about all of the devices, how we can leverage these devices to monitor temperature and humidity. He actually did not talk about the other things that we can actually monitor with these devices. Clearly, you might want to talk about those a little later. So this is going to be a very short demo. This basically shows all of the data that comes from Clem's devices. So we can use this in different scenarios. We can use this in industries. We can use this with our machine in manufacturing companies. We can use this in retail stores to look at how often people come in, how long the line wait is, what people get to buy from your store. There are a ton of use cases. But today we're going to be looking at how this applies in agriculture. How do farmers use this? How do they use this to monitor their livestock? How do they use this to monitor their crops? How do they use this to, transport their produce, perishable produce, so that it gets to the consumers in a very good state? And how do they make sure that they also do not run into losses with all of this? We wake up to news of a farmer losing all of their chicks at birth, or getting things, getting food produce to the consumers, and it's really not in good shape. So how do we stop all of this from happening? How do farmers stop losing a lot that they have really worked for and not get discouraged to totally abandon agriculture? A lot of people have left farming because of the great loss that can be attached to it. But how do we make sure that this does not happen? How do we make sure that it keeps getting more interesting and more attractive to the young folks out there? I know that when I invest my money into this, it is not going to be a loss. Another thing we're also going to be looking at is how IoT can actually benefit you. IoT has been a buzzword for a really, really long time. IoT, AI, it has all been a buzzword. A lot of people know these things, but they don't know how we can apply it. They don't know how it can affect our day-to-day lives. We thought about doing something in manufacturing industry, or something in probably the hospitals, or in one really big multinational. But we thought, we gave it a second thought, and we think we should bring it closer to our viewers, something that we can relate with, something that we can see that, oh yes, this is really an application that speaks to me, that speaks to everybody out there, and how does this affect our day-to-day life? So on my screen, we can see Clement mentioned we used like 4 devices for this demo. So our first device is basically used to monitor the field. In the field, there can be a whole lot of produce out there. There could be tubers, there could be maize, there could be every other thing that is, out there in the farm, right? So this is supposed to be in room temperature. So we can see the temperature measurement. We could see that at some point it was turned off, but we could also see some readings towards the end of my graph here. So this basically goes a long way to monitor the temperature, making sure that it is in the right temperature that it should be. How are my crops doing? In what temperature are my yams going to grow really fast or going to grow healthy? How are my maize doing? All of this is going to basically tell us that. We can also see some color cards by the right of each of our visuals. This basically shows us maximum and minimum temperature of our devices, or of our field, anywhere these devices have been plugged into, right? Also, at the bottom left, we can see the humidity graph. This basically shows us, the humidity of our field. So this is a visual for just one of our devices. Then to my right, we see there is a temperature, a device that has been put into a tomato truck. So this truck basically delivers tomato from the farmers to the consumers. So they want to make sure that these tomatoes get to their consumers in good shape. So they put a device in there to always measure the temperature as well as the humidity. So when it's getting too high, there is actually an alert on this card that triggers and sends an email to, it can even be a text message, right, to the end users, and say, oh, the temperature is getting too high for these tomatoes, they might get bad before they get to their consumers, or it's getting too low, or we need to turn it down a bit, right? And also this checks the humidity. I'm going to switch over to the next set of visuals that basically shows how you can track other basically livestock. This is for crop. The next set of visuals is going to be for, livestock, monitoring the health of our livestock, of our animal produce. So we can see to the left, temperature for laying hen. This happens a lot of times that a farmer wakes up in the morning and he sees that the hens that are laying are probably not laying as much as they should, or the eggs are getting bad. So it's either you're trying to hatch into little chicks, or you're trying to sell these eggs. Either ways, you need your hens to lay as much as possible. And there is a specific temperature that they need to be in for them to be at their best. So this basically monitors the temperature in the environments that you have them in, so that at every point in time they're as comfortable as possible so that they can give their best to your farm. So to the right of the report, we see that we have temperature for day-old chickens and humidity as well. It is no news that when chicks get hatched, their first day is very, very critical, right? A lot of them die. And you realize that farmers don't really even sell them until they get to like 3 day old. So you see them always selling 3 day old chicks, 1 week old chicks, and that is because a lot of them die while they hatch. So how do you make sure that this does not happen? How do you put them in like a really, really comfortable space to make sure that they get to the 3rd day, to make sure that they get to the first week? So there's a certain temperature for day old chicks, right? So we make sure that we adjust the room to fit into that temperature. And as they get older, there are also like certain temperature that is best for them. So these devices will basically monitor the environment in which you've put them in, to make sure that it is as comfortable as possible, and so that they don't fall ill, they don't need they don't run out of water as well. So that it's one of things that we can actually monitor with these devices. But these are just a few for the purpose of this demo. If you're a farmer out there, or you know a farmer, your uncle is a farmer, you want to go into farming, I am sure that this is something that will totally help you in your journey and to make sure that you make as little loss as possible. I hope this helps us. This is, a really short demo, like I said earlier. I hope we find this really helpful, and look up the other use cases, simple use cases that we can apply IoT to. Don't see IoT as something that is only meant for large industries. Even in your house, a lot of farming is going on. A lot of people stay in urban areas. A lot of people, we totally leave farming to those in the countryside or those in rural areas. No, you can actually farm in your compound. You can actually farm in your balcony, no matter how little. You can actually farm on your rooftop. Just make sure that you get the appropriate temperature. And how easy this is for you to just get a little device, plug it in, connect it, make sure it gives you the reading, so that every point in time you know how your crops are doing. When the temperature is too high, when they need water, I really don't know how all of that work, but if the temperature is too high, if they need a lot of water, you know at every time when to actually give them the water that they need. If the humidity is low, if it is high, you know what to do. You know how to manually like go pour water on them if it's like a small farm in your balcony or at the rooftop or in your compound, so that you don't just plant
Yeah.
things and die and die and die and you just give up. So this is a solution for you not to give up, no matter how small your farming is, so that you can make something fresh and nice for your family, or you can, do it at large scale, irrespective. So I
Okay,
hope you
so
find this useful. Thank you so much, everyone.
go
Yeah,
on.
Clem, please go ahead.
Hey guys, what's going on? That was amazing
Brenda, I
presentation.
hope you have a small farm in your house.
So I can
If you
utilize it
don't,
more.
I brought a solution for you if you feel like your crop are going to just die.
Oh
So I
no,
brought a solution
no.
to make sure that it doesn't.
Well, so apart from farming, right? Have you ever used this for any other solution, right? Practically for yourself. Is it like for your let's say room temperature, right? We can use IoT to actually understand and to like let's say for example you have a baby in the house and you want to track everything that goes on, you want to make sure the temperature is okay and see record everything that goes on in your home, right? So if you
Yeah.
have to implement this process, right, have you tested our approach before? Or how will you
So I would say testing out. I have not really like tested out something like that, but how it works, I could just even say it. So like in with IoT, like you could not just collect like what we are doing now, is just data collections, but actually this device also can act. You understand? So you could actually even regulate the temperature in a room automatically without actually like engaging the actual device itself. So
yeah.
like let me give you for instance, let's say you're trying to check the temperature of a room to like let's say 32 degrees, or like let's use a use case of what Olana just used now, which is the crop the animal monitoring, where you want to
Hmm.
monitor,
Yeah.
like she talked about the chicks. So the
Yeah.
chicks, like she said, like when they are growing, there are different temperatures that they can actually like stay in, you understand?
Surviving.
So exactly, surviving, exactly. So you could actually like regulate the temperature in there. So as I said, the device can also act. So you can have maybe a device there trying like controlling something like
Yeah.
a heater or anything there. So like
Yeah.
let's say you can just say when the temperature is above this, trip it off. So when it comes down to that temperature again, you leave it there. When it goes below it, you on the heater again. So you could just keep on regulating it like that. So the device can also send and also act also. So yeah, so
Yeah.
for like yeah, for house use case and everything, yeah, this is actually very possible. I talked about the Azure device catalogs. There are lots of devices there that you could just try to look up. They are just there. You just have to just like maybe just it's a plug and play. You
Yeah.
can just have temperature monitoring set up quickly. You can have pressure. I don't know, just you're using like I saw one today. That one you could use to measure soil parameters like pH, temperature, humidity, light intensity.
Yeah.
So you could actually build solutions around. And the good part is that with this plug and play, you don't actually need to think about building your own devices, because this is like the thing that delays IoT. People are saying, I don't understand the hardware
Yeah.
market. Do I have to build my own hardware device and all? So you could just pick a device that's already made that you feel that okay, fine, this device can measure the parameters that you need for your own use case, and then you can just buy them and just build your solution around it, and you're up and running. Because most of the
Yeah.
time, IoT project fails at the device prototyping stage. Because software, you can get people to build software, but hardware is like a different ball game. You
Yeah, it
understand?
has to work. Yeah, basically. I mean, I asked because I just wanted to know if your point of view on that, because I have tried
All
out
right, great.
before too, using the Raspberry Pi and use that to work on a fan, right? Just automated, right? If the temperature is below setting by turn off the fan or turn on off the fan, so which works fine. But industry wise, using as a form of a business, right? I think it makes sense, right? Uh,
Mhm.
Utilize it for agriculture. I think that's a big one, and I think Alana, you need to like show this to a lot of people, to make sense for
Yeah.
them to run their farming business. Yeah, it's a lot of good stuff.
Of course, yeah, definitely. And just like Clem has said, this is you can get like plug and play devices. So you really don't have to worry about setting up the hardware or where it's connected to.
Yeah.
All that is there already. It's just for you to go get this, consume it, use it for whatever it is. Either to monitor the temperature of your baby's room
Yeah.
or to, put it in your little garden. Yeah.
All right. All right. I've been looking. I don't think we have any questions. I don't think we have any questions so far. So yeah, I think I'm the only one asking questions. So we have about 6 minutes more. So if you guys have any more information, or we just go on break. And yeah, Alana, I was looking through your into data, right? As well,
Mhm.
data analysis, data management, and all that. So yeah. So can you just tell me how's your experience been so far in the industry?
Well, it's been great, really, because this is something I've always wanted to do first, and it's not about it's about having first um, knowing what you want, get into something, and data analytics is like a tool that helps me achieve this passion of mine of trying to get things together, to make things fall in place, to make things make sense.
Yeah.
I'm like a very organized person and I analyze situations a lot,
Okay.
right? And so
Mm,
this tool just makes me express myself without having to talk so much.
mm,
For example, the visuals I have on the screen, I really
yeah.
don't need to tell you what it says. I
Okay.
can basically just get a set of, I can get like a data set and I look at the data set and express my thoughts into visuals and
Mm,
present it. And of course, yes, it is one thing to just analyze data, but it's another thing to tell a story with your data and to
yeah.
make sure that the end consumers actually understand what this is
Okay.
and are able to use it. It makes sense to them and they are able to apply it in their business and in their day-to-day lives as well.
Okay.
And of
Eh,
course, I've delved into a lot around data that would actually
all
get
right.
to this point. But this is like the end goal, what people see, but there are
Yeah.
actually a lot that goes behind. So I don't
Mm-hmm.
just do this that people see. I've
Yeah.
actually learned how to do all of the things that also happen behind the scene.
Yeah.
That's,
Okay.
that's all of this we see.
All
Yeah.
right, that's awesome. Let me put a question through, right? So talking about IoT now, having this device, so these questions they link together, right? Based on your experience and your background. So I would say, let's say I mean, you created something for those chickens or ants or whatever in your poultry, right? And you have this data stored right in the cloud over there in Azure, right? So when it comes to visualization or building a data model, right, how will you build that data model to actually analyze this information you are getting from this farm? So you get a question?
Oh, was
Can
that
you?
for me,
Yeah,
Clement?
it's both of you. Anyone can answer it.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
So I said, right, you build something for your poultry, right? This IoT device. Now you're tracking a lot of data. It's doing some automations for you, for the weather and everything. Let's say you want to go over all these things you've been doing for the past 6 months or 1 year, right? What tool, like for example, we have Power BI, right? How do you go about your data modeling concepts and how we actually be visualize? What kind of KPIs you would like to see? How do you have to visualize this information?
Okay, so let me go first. So
Yeah.
for me, like you have rightly mentioned before now, I'm like a big data person, like a huge fan when it comes to data technologies and BI tools. And to say the least, I'm actually a Microsoft geek. I don't know if I
Uh,
can put it that way. So everything I do work with right now is about Microsoft technologies, both
okay.
from extraction, transformation, loading the data into creating reporting. I use Power BI for this report. You can see really
Hmm.
beautiful,
Yeah.
very interactive. I can click on one visual and literally filters every other thing on the screen. You can see the amazing visuals,
All
really
right. Click
beautiful
it.
color
Let's see.
shades.
Let's have some fun.
Yeah, let's have some fun. So, okay, for instance, this is one page, and I have a
Yeah.
toggle here, and I can toggle between this view and a total different view. So these are two total different views,
Okay.
and they are on the page. So this feature is the Power BI bookmark. So you can bookmark a page, attach it to a button, bookmark another page. So you can basically just have literally an interactive visual or an
Yeah.
interactive report, right? Outside that, I have different data points here. I can click on one data point and it filters my entire visual. So
Yeah.
what we're seeing now is whatever that I have here, you can see that it affects this visual because this visual is the only one that speaks to what I have at the top.
Hmm. Yeah.
So what I have to my right, the tomato truck, it has absolutely nothing to do with this. So ordinarily, if I was supposed to, if I was going to click on all of this, I'm just going to detach these two visuals from this guy so it doesn't filter it, right? But we can see the point I clicked on, we can see the only data point on my
Field
activity bar
immediately. Yeah.
that speaks to it. So basically, that is how this works. This is a 1 day view of our data because it's supposed to be real time,
Hmm.
right? That is
Yeah.
why we do not have things like a date filter.
Yeah.
Ordinarily, I'm going to have, if I want to track this for a really long time and I want to
Hmm.
see trend across the week, okay, how
Yeah.
was my temperature last week compared to this week? If I want to do those kind of
Exactly.
comparison, of course, I'm going to have like a date filter here
Yeah.
that I can select for yesterday, I can select for 2 days back or 5 days ago.
Hmm.
And I can do like a comparison between each day or each hour to
Yeah.
see, how often does this get high or get low. So these are like the really beautiful and interactive things that Power BI lets you do.
Interesting. Yeah. Interesting.
And,
Yeah.
and one more interesting fact that totally blows my mind each time is the fact that Power BI gets updated on a monthly basis. So you see really cool, really new features on
Every
a
time.
monthly basis. How amazing is that? Yeah, unlike other BI
Yeah.
tools that basically maybe get updated, once in a year or some in a couple of years. So every other month you get like a really cool feature as an addition to your BI tool.
Yeah, that's interesting. That was amazing. That's a good job. All right, guys, time to go. We're up. So thank you for coming. Thank you, Clement. Thank you, Lana.
All
Wonderful
right.
job, guys.
Bye.
Wonderful, guys. Yeah, take care. Thank you.
Bye.
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 All right, guys. We're gonna go on a break now. Get ready.
reason. The reason.
All right, guys, welcome back. Welcome back. We have one more session to go. So let me share my screen. So what do we have here, right? Okay, guys. Okay, guys. So we are building AI powered apps with Azure Computer Vision API. This is an interesting one. So I'm really looking forward to meet these guys on this one. But remember, evaluation, right? You guys to make sure you do that so you can win some prizes. So the first person that we have here is Jack Led and wonderful developer advocate, also a gold student ambassador, community builder. Yeah, and we have the other talented Ajiri, also a Microsoft Blend student ambassador, software developer, SPDC scholar. So as let me see. Okay, all right. Let me bring them up, right? So I think that'll make more sense. All right, Ajiri, Jaflet, are you guys ready for us? Hi, Ajiri.
Great. Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me
Hello.
clearly?
Yeah, Jafflet, I can hear you. How are you,
Good
sir?
evening,
How are you
Benga.
doing? How are you? Are you ready? Are you pumped? Do you have the energy to take us through the final road? Are you
Yeah,
ready?
sure, sure.
All right, all right. Thank you. You guys should take it over. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, great. Hello, everybody. Good evening. Um, from wherever you're joining us from, thank you so much for joining into Microsoft Certified Trainers West Africa Cloud Bootcamp 2021. And I'm super excited to be here with you all. I would also be speaking with Ajiri, who is also a very good friend of mine. And in this session, we'll be walking you through what it takes to build AI-powered solutions with Microsoft Azure. I'll be sharing my slide now, and then we'll get started. Please, Benga, I guess you can see my slide now. You could please help me pull it up on the screen. Okay, great. So hello, everybody again. Wherever you're joining us from, either from Nigeria, good evening. If you're joining us from Ghana, you're joining us from other countries in West Africa, or you're joining us from outside West Africa. Again, I want to say thank you so much for making out time to be part of this year's Cloud Bootcamp. It is amazing and also sad to know that this will be the last session in the actual track of this year's bootcamp. But again, we hope all of the things you learned, you are going to make very good use of it, to empower yourselves and your community. I'm Jafflet One, and I am a Gold Microsoft Lens Student Ambassador here in Nigeria. And as a Gold Microsoft Student Ambassador, get to empower people across student community in Nigeria to achieve more, fulfilling Microsoft's mission to achieve more. I love talking about Microsoft 365 and Microsoft's Power Platform because it empowers people who do not know how to program, who do not know how to code, with the access to build solutions. And also, I'm a fan of artificial intelligence. I love to talk about artificial intelligence. I work together with communities around the globe to empower millions to achieve more. And also with me on this call is another Microsoft Lens Student Ambassador, Ajiri Gon. Ajiri, would you like to introduce yourself quickly?
Yes, so quickly, my name is Ajiri Gon. I studied electrical electronics engineering at the Federal University of Technology, Akure. I'm also a Microsoft Lens Student Ambassador. I guess I was. Okay, so I'm a software engineer. I build solutions, mostly cross-platform software. So I build for the web, I build for mobile, and I also do some backend programming, Python. So I like to build cross-platform solutions. So I work with cross-platform tools, Unity, Flutter, and the likes. And I'm also very passionate about, empowering people with technology, mostly AI deep technologies. And Azure does that really well, has a lot of solutions for that. And I'm really excited to have worked with Jafflet to prepare this. And I can't wait for the fun to start. Okay, so I guess you can start, right?
Yeah. So in this session, we'll be basically walking you through what it's like to build your AI solutions, making use of Azure Computer Vision. But first, before getting started, we'd like to walk you through what it actually is like for those who don't have an idea of computer vision, of those who don't have an idea of building AI solutions with Microsoft Azure. We wanted to take you through Microsoft Azure Cognitive Service, which is Microsoft's AI platform for building AI solutions. For those who are not aware, Azure is Microsoft's cloud computing platform, which enables you to do lots of things. But artificial intelligence is one important feature of Microsoft Azure because for cognitive services, you can do all of these with little or less code. And most importantly, you can walk through all of the things you need to walk through without having to a very short period of time without having to spend too much time trying to build your solution. Now, there are different parts of Azure Cognitive Services, and in this session, I'll be highlighting these different parts. So first, we have the speech service, and in the speech service of Azure Cognitive Service, you are able to, for speech to text, you are able to transcribe it's your speech to text service. You are able to transcribe your audible speech into readable or searchable text, those formats. And then for your text to speech, it's easy for you to convert all of your text files to speech. So for example, you type in something and then you want it to have this natural interface where it speaks, actually reads out what you have typed. That's actually text to speech. Then we have speech translation, which helps you in real time to translate the things that are being said to another language. For example, I'm speaking in English. It's possible to translate what I'm saying in English to another language in real time. And then you have speaker recognition, which gives you the ability to identify and verify the people in a particular audience. For example, I and Ajiri speaking, it's possible to recognize from what we're saying, from our speech, that Jaflet is speaking now or Ajiri is speaking now based on our voices. Another amazing part of Azure Cognitive Service, which we also love to highlight, is the language service. And what happens in the language service is you have 5 different services in the language service. And in these 5 different services, you have first sentiment analysis. I'll be highlighting 4 of them. Sentiment analysis. In sentiment analysis, it basically gives you the opportunity to automatically detect sentiments and opinions from text. Either you're getting it from a popular social media site like Twitter or Facebook or wherever it is. You can draft it out and detect how what users mean by a particular set of words. And then you have your translator, which can translate more than 100 languages and dialects in real time. Another interesting part is your conversational language. And what this does is it enables your applications to interact with the users through natural language, which is another amazing feature. And then you have entity recognition, which basically gives you the opportunity to identify commonly used words or terminologies or domain-specific terminologies in a specific site or wherever you're getting your data from, and then you can use them for wherever you need to use them. An interesting part too of Azure Cognitive Service is the vision service. And this is what we're going to be focusing on today. Vision service has 3 major parts, which is the computer vision, which we're going to be showing you how it works. With computer vision, you can analyze content in images or in videos. Or you could decide to work with custom vision, which help you customizes image recognition, basically image recognition, object recognition, and others to fit your business needs. Or you could decide to work with your face APIs, which gives you the opportunity to detect and identify people in a specific image or set of images, or you decide to pick emotions in those images, how these people are feeling. Or you could also decide to work with distinction service, which gives you the ability to work with an anomaly detector, helps you identify potential problems in a service or in whatever solution you are building off just before it goes haywire, it goes all wrong. And then you can also use your content moderator to detect offensive or wanted content, basically for example, as used on Facebook or YouTube, where comments are flagged as offensive or not. So your content moderator helps you do that. And if programmed a certain way, you can then take down those comments. It flags them and takes them down. And then finally, in Azure Cognitive Services, you have your personalizer, which helps you create rich personalized experiences for each user. So again, these are the amazing things you can do with Azure Cognitive Services, limitless opportunities. But in this session, focusing on Azure Vision API. And what Azure Computer Vision API enables you to do is you can, as mentioned earlier, you can analyze content, images, and video. Now, Ajiri built an amazing solution, or has worked with, we have got to work with Azure Vision API lots of times, and Ajiri built an amazing solution with Azure Vision API, which we decided to showcase to you all how it goes. So Ajiri, would you like to tell us about this solution?
Yeah. So it's actually a web app that I've worked on. So the web app is basically an e-commerce website or web application where people can come and check for items they want to buy. Items that will, items are up there right now. Items that will appeal to people who are young and rich, like Chaflet. And so can I share my screen so we can see what it looks like?
Yeah, sure, definitely. We'd love to see it.
Okay, so let me open up the web app. Okay, so this is the web application. Hope you can still see my screen. Yeah, so it's pretty standard. So this is what any web application will look like, any e-commerce website, right? We just want it to look something like this. And developers usually start with this as beginners projects. Or sometimes some people I know usually start with this as beginners project, and some actually are able to scale it up. So what we wanted to do, or what I wanted to do in this web app, was to make it a bit different from other web applications. So we implemented text search, which is generic. But for this web application, I tried to put in image search, right? So instead of typing out what you want to search for, you could just like upload an image, and then the web app is able to interpret that image, know what it means, and then so check through the database to find items that look like or relate to that image. So I'm just going to go ahead and demo it out, because this is the fun part, like I said. Okay, so this is a bag. I guess I have bags in database, so we are going to search for a bag and see what it comes up with. So the thing about Azure Vision API is that there are so many things that the AI can do, right? So like cognitive services, like Jafet has said, and even there was a session yesterday which was really great, that introduced most of the services, and it shows that Microsoft actually has these AIs pre-packaged, right? So pre-built AIs that can do whatever you want them to do. You don't have to train them, you just have to feed them data and they give you results. And Azure Vision API can give you lots and lots of results. So what we want this AI to do is just interpret what this image means. This image could be anything. We're going to try something else, but we're putting a bag. And what you see here, these tags you see here, are what Azure Vision API was able to interpret from the image. So it could label this image as an accessory, as a luggage, as bag, as hand luggage, backpack, which are all accurate. And the thing about it is that if you actually see the data that was fetched from the API, it is actually ranked the probability of each of these tags actually correlating to the image. So they actually ranked in a scale of 0 to 1. So if you want to actually optimize this process, you could check those rankings and have a limit of the tags you use to search through your database. So this is what it came up with, and I think it's quite accurate, right? So let's try something else. Let's see. Okay, no, let's try this. So this is a watch, as we can all see. So let's see what the AI is able to interpret from this image and see what is in our database. Wow. So it is quite amazing. So it's able to know that this watch is text. Okay, so there's text in the image, right? So you could label this image with text, with a watch, gadget, screenshot, electronic device. Well, it is an electronic device. And then 2 items in our database that fits any of the description are these 2, which I think is quite amazing. It's quite accurate. So this is what we built. This was fun. It was fun building this. We spent less than 18 hours, I think, putting this together, both front and back. So the idea was we just needed to implement a regular search, right? So we just implement a regular search. So normally you have a database, you can just put in, you should have a feature where people put in text and then your system is able to go through your database and bring out objects or bring out data that relates to that text. So that's already works for us for this system. So what we just need to do is we don't want to use text, right? We want to use images. So converting that image into text is what the Azure Vision AI does for us. And provisioning it was quite easy. It's really, really easy. I didn't have to script data. I didn't have to train any models. I just had to go on the Azure platform and provision. And there was a session yesterday that actually walked us through how we could do this. But Jaffa was of the opinion that we should still go through it. So let's go through it. So all you have to do is come here, right? This is my home page as this is the Azure portal homepage. So anybody who has an Azure account can, would see this when you log into Azure account. So you just need to create a new resource, and then you create the best resource, which is the first resource. This is AI plus machine learning. Don't quote me on that. So AI plus machine learning. So you just come to this category, and then you just check for computer vision. Yes, that's this. So you just provision a computer vision resource. So you can check for any resource you want. Wow, I've been busy. Okay, so I play a lot, don't mind all of this. So you can actually create a new resource. So resources are just containers, right? So there are a lot of things, like I said, like Japheth said, there's a whole lot of stuff that is on the Azure platform. Apart from AI, there's a lot of other stuff. There's blockchain, you can use it for storage, you can use it for web application, hosting website, and all of that. So you can have projects with different services, right? So what you usually do, you just create a resource group that holds all your resources. So whatever you're provisioning, just attach it to the resource group. So I could attach it to any one of these resource groups that I'm using to play with, or you could just create a new resource group, right? And then there's this instance. I don't think we're going to review and create. That might take a while. I don't trust my internet, so we might not do that. So then there's instance details. You just need to give the name of this service, this computer vision service. You just need to give it a unique name. That's pretty standard and logical. And then you choose your pricing tier. So the pricing is actually really cool. You could check out the pricing documentation to know what works for you and what works for your design, or your design pattern or your architecture. And then you click this box, and then you can review and create. But if I do that, I'm going to get errors because I haven't filled up these spaces. So let's just fill them up. Okay, remember, I don't trust my internet, but assuming I choose a resource group and I filled all of this and I put in their name and I selected my pricing tier, which is standard, and I reviewed and create, I would have an Azure Vision API provision. So I've already provisioned one, so I'm not going to walk us through all of that. So all I need from this service, by the time you're done with the service, you will have something like this. You'll be able to come to this page. So this is one I've already provisioned, and this is actually what currently runs our AI math that we've been playing with. And then all you need is these keys and endpoints, which I will not show anybody because it's going to compromise stuff. So you just need this endpoint, right? And then you get this key. So to know how to use this, you can just check the official documentation, right? So you don't have to be a C# developer to work with these APIs. Whatever you code, right? Even if you've done any form, if you've been in any professional environment as a developer, it doesn't matter what you've done in the professional environment, as long as you've worked with APIs in a professional environment, it doesn't even have to be really professional. As long as you work with APIs, you should be able to interpret these documentation, right? So there are a lot of things that the Azure Vision API does. Some of them are really scary, like describing an image. It's really scary what this does sometimes.
Yeah,
so this could actually work for a use case, right? So our like I said, in our software, we've already implemented the search and we've already have a database, right? So we have all of that already, and then that depends on you. That depends on your architecture as a backend developer or software developer. It depends on how you're building your system. You could use MongoDB. You can use any kind of database, but we wanted an optimized search for this software. So we used Azure Cognitive Search Service, which is a really, really great service. And it hardly gets better from Azure Cognitive Search, but that's for another talk, right? So all we needed to do is just put our data on Azure Cognitive Search Service Index, and then we could use text to search through that data and very optimizedly, right? So like we said, we just need to convert our image to text, which we use to search our database. So doing that, we use the analyze image endpoint. And analyze image endpoint can return a lot of things, right? You can return a rating to show whether it's the image has adult content. If there are brands in the image, it can return the categories in the image, it can return color, it can return description, it can return faces, it can return image type, object tags. It can actually detect objects and give you the bounding boxes inside the image where those objects actually are, so that if you overlay the box on the image, you get where the object is. So if my face is an image and I want that to be detected, you can also use this API for that. And then if you know anything about computer vision, you should be thinking about augmented reality right now. So, but that could come later. So what we used was the tags. We just needed the tags, and these things are actually tags. So it converted this image to tags, and there's also a tags endpoint which you can get here. There's also a tags endpoint here. If you want to tag an image, there's a special endpoint for that. But if you want to get tags along with other stuff, you can use the analyze endpoint. Describe image, there's an endpoint for that. Detect object, there's an endpoint for that. So it just comes to this documentation, which I believe is in our slides. Chapter does that in the slides, and then do your magic. So that's that about the software, and it's something. It's about what Azure Vision APIs can do. They'll be like, can I use it for image search, and it's really, really simple. Like we said, 18 hours. It's laudable. So it really shows you the foresight Microsoft has in making these prepackaged tools for people like software developers who may not have time to build their AI to be able to put in these features into their software and make it scale. So questions, definitely.
Interestingly, Ajiri, for those of us who don't really like to code or are not good with code as you are, it's really easy for us to build, these AI solutions. It bridges this gap between developers and data scientists. It bridges this gap between developers and data scientists. I don't have to be a developer. I don't have to be a data scientist to actually build an AI solution. I don't really have to write tons of lines of machine learning code to be able to train this solution. Again, like you said, just 18 hours, you were able to build this. Something else about the Vision API is the fact that, and Azure Cognitive Services generally, is the fact that all of these services are available in several regions around the world. So wherever you live, you can make use of this service. As Ajiri has shown, or as you have seen from Ajiri's session, it's easy for you to embed all of these abilities, whether you're making use of any of the services, to your application, to your softwares, and boom, you are already doing amazing. You're already doing amazing. So again, be sure to check it out. In future sessions, we will definitely be sure to run you through what it's like building real-life solutions, real-world solutions with Microsoft Azure Cognitive Services. But here are some references we'll have for you all, or some documentations you all need to check out. I think we will probably post this in the chat, Mr. Benga, so that everybody would have access to it. So we decided to leave the rest time for questions. So if you have questions regarding this solution, if you have questions regarding how Azure Cognitive Services work, or you'd like to learn more, you could also let us know in the chat. Then we would also be sharing the details to our LinkedIn profiles. So, if you need to reach out to us on LinkedIn, you can definitely connect, and we'll be sure to answer all of your questions.
All right, we have a question here. I think she's asking, to use computer vision, must it be used with Azure? And please, can the link be dropped? Thanks. Yeah, that's from Rachel.
Okay, great. Thank you. Ajiri, would you like to answer that?
Okay, yeah. So like Azure just simplifies the process, right? So it's a service, it's a product. The Vision API, it's a product. So the thing is, you could do it yourself, right? But like you said, it's a world of its own. The way software engineering is a world of its own, and it takes years to master these things. I was working with a friend recently that was trying to build, a facial recognition system, and he had been working on it for months, throughout his IT 6 months, and right now the AI is still at 60% accuracy. And Azure Face API does that really well, really well. Just need to upload like 3 faces, and your facial recognition system, is up and running. It's really, really optimum accuracy. So you can do it yourself, right? So there are courses online you can take. Machine learning engineers, that's what they do. The people who built the Azure AI, that's what they do. So, but the thing is, you don't have to, right? So if you building the software alone is enough work, and people know that, and it takes time to actually master each of these things. So the people who have been building AIs have made AI really accessible, so you don't have to build it. So you don't have to use Azure, but if you do, then you could actually scale better and build faster. So you could build them yourself, but the probability of you getting high accuracy is really low. And then because it's Microsoft, they have more resources, and they're able to do their AI is a lot more intelligent. They have been able to get a lot of just look at the tags that were generated, right? And if you actually play with these endpoints, like I said, it's really scary. It's scary what the Azure Vision API can actually detect. It can even detect faces of celebrities and popular people. So if you want, but doing that yourself could take years. It could take years. So
Thank you for
you could do it yourself. You could build your AI yourself. And if you really want to be, like Jafet also mentioned, there's also the custom vision platform that the Microsoft also made to make the building process easier for you. If you want a custom AI, you could also simplify that process. So you could just upload pictures, and then the Microsoft custom vision could train them for you. So you could do it yourself with other libraries. There's OpenCV, there's TensorFlow, but going with Azure is going to make the journey smoother, easier, and just better all around.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good job. Yeah, that's what I always tell people, right? It just depends on what you're willing to contribute to, because the people out there already build this stuff there for you. You call that API and utilize it for what you want to do. Like, see you with the website you showed us right now. You don't have to build all those things from scratch. You can just have your own software and call that API and do the runnings and do the search for you and brings the result back, and you just display that on your screen and use it. So yeah. So that was really amazing. I think she can hear you. So Javlet, right? To drop the links, can you drop it in my comments so I can post it out there? Do you have
Okay, so I just shared them in the chats. I don't know if you can see them.
Yes, let me grab them.
Okay, so finally, just to add to what Ajiri has said, again, what Microsoft Azure it just does is it's a cloud service, and basically all of these things you get to train them in the cloud. So if, for example, I am building a solution, I don't have to build my physical computer every time to run this solution. All of these things are in the cloud. It can always get the API can always interact with whatever application I'm building in real time. Nothing has to interfere with it. So again, it's easier. Aside the fact that Ajiri has mentioned, and Mr. Benga has also mentioned that it saves time too. It's also an amazing opportunity for you to work on this within a very short period of time. Yes. So I don't know if there are any other questions in the chat. And Ajiri, you could drop your link to the link to your LinkedIn profile too. And so Mr. Benga can share.
Oh.
Yeah, if you want, I can
Is that
share
handy? I hope that's handy. Let's see.
Let me drop this link for our viewers to see, and that will help them research it below. Okay. All right, thank you. Looks like a very long link. All right. Reduce. All right, I think that should do it. Yeah, it's kind of too long, but I think that will be fine. And we have it on the screen as well. We have a link there for the web app and the Azure Cognitives, right? That's awesome, guys. All right, time is up. Thank you guys for coming. Thanks for the wonderful information you just provided. So, what's next? You guys going to eat, going to drink, going to sleep, whatever. Just
You know, it has been amazing this past few days. Algeria
yeah,
actually was a watch party host in Akure
yeah.
Futa. They had an amazing watch party yesterday, so I guess
Uh-huh.
he has not had time to rest. And
Okay.
I've been more of like, checking up on the other watch parties.
And
Make sure they
everybody
were.
definitely managing Nigerian watch parties, like the whole of
So,
Nigeria. So yeah, both being so busy, we need to sleep.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. You guys need to rest, but I mean,
yeah.
thank you guys for finding time to show up here, and have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. I think it's
it-
Sunday
it-
already, so getting
Yeah,
ready for
so
the brand new week anyway. Take care. Yeah, thank
yeah,
you.
take care. Thank you very
All
much
right.
for doing this, Mr. Benga.
thank
Awesome.
you
Yeah, you're
so
welcome.
much.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. And this is the end of the show. And I'm sure you guys are able to learn one or two things. And I remember, you guys are filling up the. Let me bring up the link again. And I just want to make sure you guys have access to win something amazing from this event. All right. Where did I put the link before we go? Okay. All right. That's the link right there. Make sure you try as much as possible to fill out the session evaluation, right? So you can win something. Possibility of you winning an Xbox as well. So I think that's a good one. Thank you guys for coming and take care and have a good week ahead. Thank you. Bye.